brought out during this whole testimony is that it's a general policy and not an isolated incident. We're trained from basic training, AIT, and OCS to...
They fought in the jungles of Vietnam. They bled for the flag, but when they came home, soldiers had something to say.
Like the winter soldiers of 1776, who stayed after they had served their time, we veterans of Vietnam know that America is in grave danger. What threatens our country is not redcoats or even Reds. It is our crimes that are destroying our national unity by separating those of our countrymen who deplore these acts from those of our countrymen who refuse to examine what is being done in America's name.
Behind the smoke was a different battle, a battle on truth. In January 1971, a group of disillusioned veterans had seen enough. They called themselves Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and they held the Winter Soldier investigation in Detroit, Michigan. Not on TV, not in Congress, but in a Detroit hotel conference room, filled with cigarette smoke, trauma, and truth. Why the Winter Soldier? The name came from Thomas Paine, who wrote during the American Revolution.
In the bleak winter of 1776, when the men who had enlisted in the summer were going home, because the way was hard and their enlistments were over, Tom Paine wrote, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink from the service of his country, but he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman."
These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink, but the winter soldier stays. These weren't radicals. They were Marines, Army infantry, Navy medics, men who had followed orders, men who had seen the cost of silence, and they came to speak.
My name is Joe Galberly. I'm 23. I served as a PFC in the 198th Light Infantry Brigade from October 67 until April of 68 when I was medevac to Japan. My testimony will deal with the killing of hungry children, the use of scout dogs on innocent civilians, the indiscriminate leveling of villages, killing of livestock, and pollution of water supply. In other words, they made it totally impossible for these people to live in their ancestral homelands again.
Over 100 veterans testified, not about politics, but about war crimes they had seen or been ordered to commit. Direct quotes. "I watched a lieutenant. A young Vietnamese girl for running. We... off ears, like souvenirs. Entire villages were wiped out. Old people, babies. We were told, anyone who runs is VC. Anyone who doesn't run is a well-trained VC." One Marine described setting fire to huts after being told to make it look like the Viet Cong had been there. Another told of the free fire zones, where anyone left alive was a target regardless of age. These weren't isolated events. They were policy. They were trained. And the powers that be, they knew. Despite the gravity of the testimonies, major networks refused to air it. Congress ignored it. Nixon's administration called the vets traitors. They were labeled unpatriotic, accused of exaggeration, even lying. But over the years, documents, photos, and soldiers' confessions validated many of their claims. The real crime? Not just what happened in Vietnam, but what was allowed to continue. Because no one wanted to listen. The soldiers didn't want attention. They didn't want medals. They wanted the American people to know what was being done in their name. And isn't that the ultimate act of service? To protect the people, even from the truth they don't want to face. History echoes, and so do its heroes. Years later, Congress finally heard echoes of the Winter Soldiers. Some testified again during John Kerry's Senate hearing. Others helped pass laws protecting whistleblowers and regulating wartime conduct. But the bigger legacy? The idea that service doesn't end with the battlefield. Sometimes, the greatest act of patriotism is telling the truth, even if it costs you everything. The soldiers were not broken men. They were men who refused to stay silent. They held up a mirror to the machine and reminded us all, being a soldier doesn't mean obeying blindly. It means defending the people, even from the powers above.
My name is Jack Bernal, and I joined the Marine Corps about 6 months after getting out of high school. I was 18 years of age at the time. I enlisted for 4 years. I went to Vietnam in February of '68. I served with Echo Battery 213, who was attached to 2nd Battalion, 27th Marines. Mainly my testimonies about the indiscriminate of innocent civilian women and children, torture of prisoners for fun and other reasons. And